let's see. Is it going through? I do not see it. Oh, yes, it is. Okay. Nice. So, let's see. I gotta go over here and get my URL really quick, guys. Okay, shareable link. Just want to share this on Twitter really quick. I'm just going to move points, sorry. Be right. Move points. No, nodes. Nodes, that's what I'm doing. I'm moving nodes. Policy, tweet. Let's see, add one more over on here. Thank you for everybody's patience. Now I can go over here and see. I don't think anybody, but I just wanted in the background. Yeah, hi. Let's see. It's always gotta think. Oh yeah, you don't see the loading. I'm gonna have to change that. Because you guys need to just be able to see the loading just like me. That's unfair. So what we do is I'm going to change the OBS to, let's see, a full screen. Screen capture. Let's see. Source image display capture. There we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah, there we are. Okay. And that's so much better than that other one. Turn that off, yeah. Get rid of it. Nope. Unity, turn that off. And move that. See. I do not know whether my audio is going out correctly or not. Let me move this over here. Let me know if it is, if it's too loud. No one's watching, so it doesn't matter. Oh, now you can see the loading. Now you can feel my suffering. Oh. Oh, oh, you can't hear me? Well, no one's here. I'm not talking. Talking. There's nothing I could say. What am I supposed to say here? Oh, I'm moving this node. I'm moving this node now. Now I'm moving this node. It's just, this is what Game Dev is. So I'm sorry if you can't hear me, but I'm not saying anything. Oh. Can people hear me? Somebody said they couldn't hear me. The thing is, I'm not really saying much. Does somebody want me to say something? I could tell a story. Once upon a time, in a dark forest, there was a pair of trousers named Dave. And, no, that's really the end of the story. Sorry, I don't have anything. Let's see here. Okay, now, done with that. So what we have to do now is sit here and watch it apply overrides for about 5 minutes. Because this hillside used to have stuff on it. I don't know, I mean, every time I go out onto the islands, I'm noticing more stuff that we got wrong as far as geography and I need to fix. And that's what I'm basically doing right here. So, just adding a couple of details. The problem is, there is no really quick solution to doing the landscaping, the really tiny landscaping that we need for the game to replicate what they do out there. So really, I'm stuck in this thing where I got to do every square inch has got to be manicured by hand. But anyway, like I said, let's apply some overrides. Oh, that was quick. Oh, I thought it was good. Oh, see, it toyed with my heart. Okay, no, that wasn't all that long at all. Okay. So, now I got that. Now, what we want to do is turn off our gizmos. And I'm going to have to go into that thing and get this. There's a little magenta thing there that's just annoying the hell out of me. That's supposed to be a park bench, and it's actually supposed to be about 12 inches closer. Does anybody have any questions or comments or criticism? I'm all ears while I'm doing this. When I have stuff selected, it always goes a little too far. Okay, there we go. All right. So what we're going to do, very end here, is we're going to start building some stuff. Like, well, first off, let's get the rotation on this plane. No questions, no comments, no criticism. That's cool. If the two people that are watching right now could confirm that they hear my voice, that would be cool. Maybe that's why no one's responded. Oh, hi, Mr. X27. Can you hear my voice? Because somebody said they can't hear me, and I'm just trying to find out what. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, cool. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure. Sewer, as they say. Let's see. I would really like to add a rock moss prefab to these to make them separate from the, the past stones that they're cloned from. There we go. Let's see. Oop, too much freaky stuff going on. Let me see. Oops. I'm just killing time until we hear about how the Brazilian elections went, man. Any Bolsonaro fans watching? Oh boy. Hey, Bolsonaro, fascism. Let's see what happens. Oh boy. It always has. It's just like this freaking demon that has to be smashed down. But let's not get political. We'll just wait until 4 p.m. when the polls close. I don't know how they count their vote. I mean, I saw them with paper ballots, so they don't do the voting machines over there for the most part, I bet. Oh, Mr. X, how has development gone so far? You know, it's. Oh, geez, when was the last time that you asked? That's the thing. It's this. It's the never-ending story of Peace Island. You know, geez, quick answer. Let's see. The first 18 months were great. Then we had about 2 years of people scamming us, or no, a little bit, very close to 2 years. But and during that time, a lot of just time was wasted, unfortunately, despite our best efforts. So we just. But here's the thing: is that after that, after we expunged the last of that cancer from our team, things started getting a little bit better, starting to move around, get done a little bit much faster. We hired a new guy down in Mexico now, and believe it or not, he's a USA born and everything. We tried to keep it all main talent for the longest time, but unfortunately, outside of like a couple of devs, it was kind of hard to find main talent, game dev talent. We just don't have much of a big game development industry up here. But anyway, let me see. To answer your question, but this new guy, I mean, geez, I don't know whether it's my communication or his, but honest to goodness, it's just a very hard time communicating sometimes with this guy. It's like, I'll say, I'm having this problem when I play the game with the editor, and he'll be like, did you try turning your computer on? And I mean, when you get a question that is so, I mean, for lack of a better term, obtuse, you just you're put to a pause, and you're like, what? Did I just fall into the back rooms or something? Because that made no sense. And that's like something that happens every day, and every day I'm just I don't know. It's a test of the EQ, but let's see here. Let's just gradiate these things down a bit. And but now things are doing pretty well. But it's here's the thing: is what really sucks is if I mean, people say I talk about the scammers that took advantage of us too much. But here's the thing: if those guys had, they only took a little bit of money out of our coffer, and understand, I paid for basically all of their scammage out of my own pocket. It didn't cost any of our supporters a dime, but they robbed us of about a year. I mean, we could have literally had our beta out before the Stray, before Stray came out. That would have been such a coup for us, but because these guys, they just did this crap for almost 2 years. I don't know. And that was the long dark night of the soul of the project. And for a while there, the people always ask me, how does this project, how did you do it, Eric? How did you create something that went viral and got so much support and everything? And I said, the thing that sustained me all those years when I was working at Ananias, those 11-hour shifts, and I'd come home and I had only 1 hour, but the one thing I had is I had absolute confidence in the project. And that's the secret. You have to have just absolute confidence for what you're doing. And there were a few months there where I lost that absolute confidence, and that sucked. I mean, it did suck. It absolutely sucked. And I don't know. It's something it's a thing of anger that something I'm having to deal with, because really I should move on. But the thing is I know these same scammers have moved on and done this to other projects, and I know how they operate now, and I just want to go out to the top of like the buildings and scream, "Look at what these people are doing! Look at it! There are people, geez, taking advantage of poor creators, and they do it in such a crappy, really just way." And the thing is, in the end, you can only blame yourself, and that's the sucky thing, and that's why my confidence waned there for a few months, and it's slow coming back. I mean, Like I said, the new guy. If I didn't tell you, I mean, this new guy who came on, he did more in 6 months, in I think 5 or 6 months, than the previous guy had done, probably in the previous 2 years. I'd say 2 years, definitely. And so when he came on and get stuff done, I was like, yeah, rah rah, we're back in business. But I don't know. Still, there remain the communication issues and such, and I don't know. I know I could be better. I know I have my own mental issues. I mean, trust me, there are people who have a legitimate point when they say, "Goodness gracious, Eric, he's a little bit erratic. He's a little bit crazy." Well, no, some people go out. He's like straight up crazy. Well, yes, I am a little bit crazy. Can I tell you something? When you work on something for as long as as any game developer has, and you know your heart and soul is poured into something like this, and you get screwed like that, it messes with your head. Like I said, it messed with the confidence. It messed with the one thing that kept the project sustained for all those 18 months, when it was just me and Laura working on it. I mean, heaven knows. But, I mean, I will categorically reject what some other people have said, but we won't go into that. I'm not going to spread the other rumors from other people. So, anyway, but let's say 3 months. Oh, in the last 3 months, I'm sorry if I rambled on, Mr. X, but hey, this is what, I mean, heck. In the last 3 months, the controller has become much, much better, much closer to completion. We lost a month, Mr. X, because what happened is we went through a phase where we had to expunge the last of the scammer residue, and that guy was the guy who handled the Perforce server. And here's the thing: is I know absolutely nothing about Perforce, and Lance knew next to nothing about Perforce, and it took us a couple of weeks to get that up and running. That was a real challenge because I absolutely hate Perforce, and when I was like, that's the one reason I kept that guy on for the longest time, because I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to learn how to handle the Perforce server. I don't have that in me, no way. But heck, it was a couple of weeks worth of tough work, but we got it done. That unfortunately, I'd say we lost us about 3 weeks, and we've been able to add a lot of new soundtrack elements. I did a little bit of landscaping, just a bit. Um, and by the way, another thing that was constantly happening for years is that my work would get deleted. I mean, I would upload work. I would ask somebody else on the project, hey, Richard, get latest. Can you check and see if this is in there? Can you go into the system and check to see if these parameters have been set? And I would get confirmation, yes, that stuff is there. Then about 3 months later, boom, it would all be gone. And it was like, the thing is, when you work in the capacity that I do, all over the project on so many different things, you lose track of things from month to month of what you did. And when you come back to it, you discover, holy crap, somebody came along and deleted my work. Ever since we got rid of that guy, that stopped. My work has no longer gotten deleted, which makes me, again, it's just so. Anyway, part of my agreement with that individual was that if he GTFO'd, I would not speak ill of him by name. So my hands are tied there. But anyway, what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to do a little bit of terrain adjustment. By the way, we do have the, yeah, okay, cool. Let's see what else we did. We were able to get the deer along the proper AI track. We were able to get the NPCs, the geese, back in there. In the last 3 months, I could just go off of my work here, but let me finish what I'm doing. We did a new interior, the market. You can go into Garrison's Market now, the cats can, and just mess about. Let me see. I'm sorry. These lags you're seeing are because, well, it's a huge project. I really wish I could get like a. Oh God, I'm painting the terrain here. I didn't know. I thought I was trying to select the market there. Okay, let me go back to my. There we go. Anyway, the interior of Garrison's Market is now done. In fact, heck, what the heck? I'm just gonna go over there and show it to you. Why not? Because my room's personal. Eric. Let's see. It is Market I4, I believe. Save, of course. Okay, oh, thank you, Mr. X. Yeah, sorry if this is not the most exciting of things, but hey. And after Mr. X asked, I'm like, he's out of here just as I'm showing off the market. But, let's see. Yeah. We've included this in the last alpha, the top floor. This was this was about a week of work, I'd say. I mean, because we had to place basically every one of these items was hand placed within the market. That was quite a lot of work because we wanted to give the player the ability to go up and just knock everything off of the shelves, and we did that, which was kind of cool. The meat cases are gone here, but hey. Let's see, 328. Anyway, let me go back to my work because I should go. Where's personal? Is that Veg? I think that was Veg Studio 10. I'm just gonna bet on that one. We gotta wait for things to load, and that's a big scene, so. Yeah, I'm gonna be eating peanuts. I'm sorry. I know it's not the most appealing thing. I noticed that some people, like these YouTubers, they could literally just sit and stream for like hours without ever eating or visiting the restroom, but I'm hypoglycemic, and I gotta constantly be shoving food down my big gaping maw, and heck, I don't know. Maybe it's that G Fuel that people are taking. What is that G Fuel, by the way? Does anybody even know? I don't know if I've been meaning to Google that because just about every one of these, like Penguin, or Supercritical, or Moist Critical, what is G Fuel? I'm gonna go to Wikipedia. Okay, yeah, great. It's a caffeinated drink mix. Focus and quickens reaction time. Oh, so it's just caffeinated powder. So I mean, I could see how somebody could totally like OD on caffeine, or just give themselves an issue, or wind up as like the subject of a chubby emu video. But I mean, I caffeinated powder, I guess. I guess some people are susceptible to drinking. I mean, weight gain if they drink a lot of sodas, and maybe caffeine. I mean, I can't drink coffee myself. I think I'm allergic to it. I'm not sure, but I literally can't drink this stuff. It puts me to sleep, and gives me just a nasty stomach ache, acid ingestion. Got to open up another scene. We got a missing sector there. Sorry, we're losing viewers. Hey, and we gotta wait for this. Get to watch this loading thing again. By the way, I thought I set the latency at very low, so there would be quicker response time as far as like chats and such. Cause where is everybody else tuning in from? Alright, back to work here. Alright, and you always gotta set the opacity like really low. And for some reason, terrain colliders are always turned off. It's annoying. Make that a little bit flatter. Oh, anybody tuning in from Brazil? I'd love to talk politics with someone from Brazil. But then again, that might turn people off talking politics. But I mean, honest to goodness, it looks like you guys are going to, unfortunately, be able to get rid of Bolsonaro if the polls are correct. But heaven knows, there are people who are just going, are just accepting the fact that Bolsonaro is going to, pull a January 6th. And just, I don't know. I understand that he has loyalties within the military, so let's see, set height. Thank you. Yeah, I want to. I have no time for sculpting. This is quick. There we go. And the guy, I don't know. Well, no, Bolsonaro's a piece of crap, in my opinion. I mean, he said so many absolute awful sexist crap and racist crap and garbage. Just, ugh. He was, he's Brazil's Donald Trump. And I will make absolutely no bones about the fact that I did not like Donald Trump. And I do not like him, and I wish him nothing but ill for the rest of his short, miserable life. I don't like fascists. I just don't. And I mean, that's not a political statement. I mean, there are a few Republicans like Liz Cheney who are like, I'm on, Trump. I like his policy, but you don't overthrow the government. We have, I don't know. We can let corporations run. I don't know. It's just don't. Yeah, being anti-Trump is not political. It's just common sense, in my opinion. Oh yeah, and I mean, heaven knows. Goodness, what is that? The Right Opinion. That guy. I don't know if you ever watched that. That guy covers like internet drama stories and such. But he obviously was really ticked off when there's this I forget his name, but he did some really good. Not Garfield, but Heathcliff. He did a video about Heathcliff. And he's actually also done videos about Garfield. But in one of his videos, he said something, I just don't like Trump. I just don't like him. And, oh my God, hair just caught on fire as a result of that, apparently. I don't get it. I do get the attraction of fascism and such, but heaven knows. That's the one thing the right calls us snowflakes. I mean, us on the left snowflakes, but I have never seen people more susceptible to just offense than the people on the right. You can say anything, and I mean, they'll immediately claim persecution. I mean, honest to goodness, every one of those things they have, oh, you can't pray to Jesus anymore in this country. Where the hell country do you live in? I see it all the time. Who's stopping you? Anyway. Not that I'm making fun of people who feel the need to pray to Jesus, or I mean, if that's your gig, that's cool. I have no problem with that. It's a free country. I like to keep it that way. So, but on the other hand, dude, no one's stopping you from praying. I mean, come on. I don't get you. Oh, goodness, it looks like this one has an issue. Hold on. We have a terrain collider, but it's not responding. Oh. I think this is low enough, though. We got the wall set over there. Now, what I want to do is I want to set up a little flower bed over there. Now, for that, we have to go back over to our Oh, oh yeah, systems objects. The Veg Studio masks. And I have one here. Flower bed garden shop. I've got to duplicate that. And this is going to be flower bed for rental property. Yeah, this building here, this is supposed to, I mean, in the lore of the game, it's supposed to be a more recent construction on the island that's mostly used for just vacation rentals, you know. There are a lot of places like that on the islands. 90% of the houses on the islands are unoccupied. It's kind of weird sometimes. Okay, now, yep, rental property, and we've got to grab the mask. And I'm hoping I'm not messing with that one. Let's see. Okay. Huh. Warby. Oh yeah, it's because I have my gizmos off. There we are. Ha ha ha. Let's see here. Can I move the entire thing? Just move that. Yeah, there we go. Just to get it out of there. But let me just check something, because I don't want to be messing with the instance if I'm going to be screwing with that. Let me just see here. By the way, I'm not a big fan of the music that we have playing. I just have it in the background because people said when I stream I should have music playing in the background. So that's what I have. I have this thing going. Not my cup of tea music, can I just say. Alright, I'm going to move that over here. And pilot us all the way down there. Now, to make sure that I'm not messing with other instances, I've got to move that out. And let's see if this one over here reflects that change. Oh, no. Flower bed? Yeah, it's unique. Okay, good. Yeah, this is, we use this to draw out the flower beds. I mean, if I showed you, I mean, it would be better to just put them into place, because really having to show you means going to go, I mean, I would like to show you, but it just takes about 5 minutes to get the whole thing to work properly. Come on. Alright, there we go. Zoom in. Yeah, game develop. This is the joyous world of game development. Right here. Sitting here and moving these one by one. I mean, this entire world, that we've created here is like handcrafted. I can't think of a single thing in here that wasn't placed by hand. Let's see here. What I don't get about some people is their inability to sometimes admit that they are wrong. Maybe I was raised in a supercritical household. I mean, I have spent the last couple of months just going over and being 100% upfront with people. Yes, These are the mistakes I made, and I just can't get in my head. Around there are some people, that I have worked with that just cannot accept, oh yeah, I screwed up. Like there was a guy who just disappeared for 4 months. And again, I will not mention him by name, but he just decided. Well, here's the thing. There was a death in his family. He lost his father, and I do not begrudge him that. But here's the thing. When my father passed away, I took 3 weeks and I was back to work. I was willing to give this guy all the time that he needed, but he just was uncommunicative, never got back in touch with us. And then when he came back, 4 months later, he was just like, all right, back to work, guys, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is right before that, his disappearance, we had given him basically everything that he had asked for. And he rewarded us by, if any other company had given him what we had given him, he would have come back. He would have at least had the courtesy to get in touch with us and say, I need a little bit more time. But no, he just waltzed back in. Hey guys, oh gee Eric, why are you so upset? The project was delayed for 4 months because of that guy. A hell of a lot of development was delayed for 4 months because of that guy. We continued working. And here's the thing is when I say that those people, the scammers, they stole a year of development time from us. They stole a year of development time in terms of coding and, controllers and stuff. And yes, that's incredibly important, but all during that time, Richard was continuing to work on the soundtrack. Arjuna was doing the best work he could on getting, colliders and stuff working, even though he really needed to work with that other guy to get things done. And Laura was working on interiors, and all the time me and Laura were having story meetings and making sure that, we were always working on expanding the story and figuring stuff out. So it wasn't like work just stopped for a year and a half. It's just that we were incredibly crippled and just slowed down on certain things because of that. And again, and when I say, people not being able to take responsibility and just admit they're wrong, ever since that, I've been just reminding myself on a daily basis, Eric, remember, you got that wrong. You got me. You screwed up. You got hoodwinked. You got scammed, and I can't. Because it wasn't just me they scammed. They scammed the thousands of people who gave their trust to us. And again, these people did not steal any money from our patrons. I paid for all of that out of my own pocket. It cost me jeez. I won't even go into it. Let's just say I could have bought a house. A small one. Very small one. But I could have bought one. Okay, now what I want to do now is I place that. I want to make sure that the layers are working. Hi, Kadiro Gaming. Nice to see you. Are you still here? Sorry, I've been just rambling. I've been doing my Grandpa Simpson thing here. Okay. Okay, how come we're not seeing any? Oh, it's because the terrains have not been brought into the Vegetation Studio Pro unit. Okay. Let's see what we need to do. is first off, clear out. See, it has no terrains. We need to remove and add all Unity terrains. And now everything's going to explode into floral. Yep, some stuff is popping up already. Oh. Thank you, May. May? Is that? I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. Well, I mean, in the end, you know, I have to just say to myself, you know, it's Genesis P origin. You know, I think Oscar Wilde said the best revenge is living well, and I can't let these people, you know, drag the. I mean, I can't let them drag me down any further, and I can't let them. I mean, they're gone, thankfully. I can't let them drag the project down anymore. But let me tell you, I do not regret what I tweeted last night about those two individuals. I just do not. Never will. And anyway, what I'm trying to do here now is, you see, we keep everything, all the vegetation inside of Peace Island is kept in something called persistent vegetation storage. And you see, I just just basically unbaked the persistent vegetation storage. So it's now generating everything, you know, at runtime. So this is, but what I just did is you know, that outline that I was just working with over here, that was the outline for where these flowers are now. And yeah, I mean the gardens that you see out there on the islands. I mean, you have a lot of retirees out there, and really, heck, at the age of 52, I would love to have a garden to putter around with. I'm getting old before my time, but hey, guilty, I guess. I'm an introvert, so it's like, goodness gracious. Let's see. Okay, that's one flower bed, and now what I want to do is, oh goodness, I think it's going to kick us out of this. Oh, nope, nope, nope. And what I need to do is use the hand tool instead of that. Because if I use a middle mouse button, sometimes if I accidentally just nudge it a little bit, it'll throw us right through the terrain, and I have to reset the camera each time. It's a pain in the butt. Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, May, if this is not like the exciting world of game development that you may have thought that you were expecting, but literally this is what the job is it's just sitting here and going painstakingly through hundreds of these little points and placing them. And, you know, one of the things I did for the longest time to keep this just, trust me, it never, I could do this work on this game for the rest of my life and be happy. I mean, I will never run out of things that I want to add to it. But I know there are limitations, but, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, the thing is, I know that, you know, people are constantly going, hey, how come it's taking so long? How come it's taking so long? How come it's taking so long? And well, you know, unfortunately, all of my excuses that I made for how come we're taking so long, in the end, were an excuse. Or I was basically making excuses for the people who were scamming us. And that's one thing, is that I've recently just gotten sick of having to tell everybody, oh, you know, it's our fault and everything. You know, we did. You know, this has turned out to be a little bit more problematic than we thought, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no. Now that we have this coder in here, like I say, this guy codes 4 times as fast as the guy that we used to have. That guy, he gets stuff done. He gets shit done. Let me tell you. And ever since ever since that guy's gone to work for us, I've come to realize, no, I can't go to the public and just go, oh, you know, make the same old excuses. No, something was rotten in Denmark, and for the longest time. And I mean, unfortunately, again, I have to go, listen, it's my fault. It's my fault that it happened. I was personally scammed. Again, it was my money that was taken. It wasn't it was the Patreon money that was taken. So, I mean, that's the one piece of pride that I can walk out of this whole thing with, is that nobody contributed to the project was scammed. It was, I mean, yeah, I took the hit, but I mean, I would because, I mean, if you've been following this project for for a long time, you'll know. Before I started this, I worked at Anania's, this diner, working 11-hour shifts, and I know how tough it is to make a living. I know how tough it is to make a dollar. Let me tell you. And I just really hate the idea that there are people out there who think that they could scam people and just do that. It just burns my butt. I'm gonna shut up. I need to raise this terrain. I got the wrong. I'm so busy belly aching about this. I got the wrong tool selected. Oh goodness. I was thinking of going out to the island today, but it looks like it's going to be gray. And we still got some sunny days left in October. I mean, it's the 2nd of October. We still got some sunny days ahead of us. I'd rather go out there for one of those days. See the last flush of the flowers and everything. I mean, I was out there a couple weeks ago and gardens were still green. I mean, everything was still green. Maybe it's, global warming. No. Is that oh no, not set height. I want to smooth that height out and set it to 100 so it goes as fast as humanly possible. But yeah. So yeah, I can't go. I got sick of that, of just going out and making excuses for those scammers. So that's another reason why I've had to just go public about it all, because I'm through with making excuses. Because every time I make an excuse for those guys, they scam us yet again, and I'm done with that. I'm so done with that. And last night, after I posted that, one of those scammers' girlfriends started calling me. I don't know why she thought that I would be just overjoyed to talk to the girlfriend of the guy who scammed us and have something to say to her. And she kept calling. And my answer I just answered the phone, and my only response was to tell her to F off at the highest register I could. She didn't get it. And heavens, today I had to get in contact. I mean, unfortunately, these days, if you know somebody's name, you could pretty much figure out anything about them on the internet. And I just got in touch with their local, law enforcement. And I said, listen, we have a problem with this young lady. Could you please? Because she was all over the place. Earlier today, she was just posting crap on the Twitter and she sets up fake accounts just so that she could snipe at our Twitter and try and defame the project. And she thought, oh yeah, I'm going to be glad to talk to her. Oh, I just want to have a conversation. Oh no, go away. Why are you still here? Why? I mean, mentally deranged that you would think that we would want to talk to that person. Anyway, I'm sorry if I'm rambling on and on, guys. Okay, thank you, May. Yeah, I realize that we're losing people. I'm sorry. This is maybe cathartic for me to just ramble on about this, but hey, I'm done. I did want to take an opportunity to explain my side of things, because unfortunately, here's the thing, is when somebody is doing that to you, you have to respond, because bullies, they have to be called out. Because otherwise they will continue to do what they do. But unfortunately, in this circumstance, it's like when you're calling that person out, they declare victory. They're like, lol, got him to respond. Look at me, I'm Takashi69, troll. Kids these days, I don't know. I'm old, aren't I? Oh goodness, I have to bake this? That is why these points are moving so slowly again. Let me bake the vegetation again. So yeah, May, I appreciate that. A heck of a lot of detail was put into this. Let me see. Bake. I'm just going to bake it as it is. Where's it? I was going to say, May, where are you typing from? Where are you watching from, if indeed you are still watching? Just curious. Because Eh, heck, it's something to talk to while we wait for this thing to do its job. Boy, you know I'm from Portland, Maine. I really like Maine. I think the people. I don't know if they're still losing 30,000 people a year, but in Maine we're losing. We had a demographic crisis. I don't know that we're still having it, but between 15 and 30,000 people were moving out of the state or dying every year because demographically we are one of the, if not the oldest state in the United States. The average age here is the oldest, and it's a pity because Maine is really. I mean, I have spent my entire life, but in Turkey. Hey, you would happen to be the girlfriend of that Russian YouTuber who just recently had to go to Istanbul. Would you please don't take offense at that because I'm just discovering a lot of people, a lot of Russian YouTubers are like, hey, I finally decided it is time to end a long distance relationship with a long term girlfriend in Turkey. I am now in Istanbul. And I don't, hopefully don't take offense at that. It's just one of those funny things that's happening right now. Except Sitarko, I think his name is. Is that his name? Staranko or something? He's staying in Russia. He did a very long video about how he's staying there. But that's cool. I wanted to visit Turkey, by the way. Turkey struck me as just a really weird country because I mean, sometimes when I'm waiting for builds to happen on, when I'm working on the game, I'm going to turn off trees so I'm going to turn off actually all of that so I can see. I go on Google Maps tourism is what I call it. I just visit places all over the world on Google Maps that I could go. And Turkey is just like one of these crazy countries where it has everything, from the pine forests that you'd see up here in Maine to like just straight up desert to the Anatolian highlands to just, I mean, it's just really wild. I'd love to visit Turkey one day. Heck, Greece is also a place I'd love to visit, but I understand you and Turkey don't. I mean, Turkey and Greece have traditionally never really gotten along all that well because of all that. What was it? During the Ottoman Empire, you guys ran Greece for a couple of hundred years. Hopefully, that is not offensive to any of our Greek viewers. But hey, it's true. I'm on the Mediterranean sea coast. Turkey is amazing for traveling. That's a lot of cats. Oh yeah, and I see. Actually, I think in Istanbul, I recently. It was one of those articles on Board Panda, or one of those sites that just shows cute stuff from around the internet. That this one cat that was very famous in Istanbul had passed away, and they literally put up like a bronze statue of the cat sitting in his usual position there. It's like, man, that is a tripping hazard. Number one, really cute, really cool, but also tripping hazard because that thing had pointy object is sitting right there on the steps. But I'm pretty sure the locals have figured that out now. Watch where you're stepping. Yeah. Goodness. And there's like this one town. I don't know where they ever built in Turkey. I think it was. I'm going to butcher its name because I don't speak Turkish, but it was. It was phonetically. It was Gaziantep. It was probably Gaziantep or something, but it was literally a town that had been there. It had literally been there since humans were living in caves. And at one point, it had been the capital city of a great empire, and the castle that had been there for 1,000 years of this great empire was now nothing but ruins, and people had carved their houses inside of the walls of the 8-foot thick walls of this ancient castle. They had burrowed into and built their houses inside of the walls of this ancient castle. It was just so cool. But the town was going to be just totally, obliterated by the water from this dam they're building. But from what I understand, I as a guy in the United States was like, oh, that's awful. That's such a history. But I started reading, interviews with the locals, and they're like, ain't much to do here. People are moving out all the time. Every year there are fewer people. Maybe it is time to let this place go. And, still to a certain extent, I understand that. because it is their history and they have a right to. If they're like, hey, people are leaving, might as well build the dam. But still, I don't know. From my eyes, it was sort of like, geez, if there's some way, that they could preserve some of the caves or something, or build some sort of, underground thing where people could still go and visit, just experience the history of that. Like, go to places where, caves where people literally lived. But then again, I'm pretty sure that, every extant cave on our planet Earth has had humans living in it in one time or another. I remember seeing a documentary recently about how deep in this one cave somewhere they found out, like, some of the earliest human, artifacts, and it was like literally miles deep in this cave system. They discovered this ring of about 8 bones, and they dated it to, ungodly amount of time passed, and but because yeah, it wasn't impressive. The first human things, yes, it's about 8 bones arranged in a circle, but heavens to Betsy, those, why the hell were they miles down in the cave, and what were they doing down there, and why was it made of human bones? I don't know. And I think that, and also in Turkey, I understand some guy was like digging in his basement, and he knocked through a wall, and he uncovered this underground city that literally could have housed, I think, 20,000 people, or literally something like 60,000 people and their cattle, and nobody's explored it because it is just so gigantic and huge. It's an ongoing, and you can visit parts of it, and it's like it's an amazing thing, and that's another one of the things I'd love to see in Turkey. Just visit that. Yeah, some of the earliest human habitations. But goodness, there was this movie, a sci-fi movie. It reminded me a lot of Futurama. It was Turkish, and they made a lot of fun. The main character was a guy who made fun of tourists like me, where he would just go, "Oh, you want to see a ruin? You want to see?" I can't do the Turkish accent. And actually, he was speaking in Turkish. But you want to see early Christian ruins? Yes, I take you. And it was all about his scams and such. But yeah, I never watched the rest of that because it was just too tropey. So yeah, there are a lot of people. But anyway, okay, I'm gonna see everything again here and see if we can. Let's see our plants. We just need to see our plants. I'm gonna unbake them and rebake them because I just want to make sure I have absolutely no leakage in that link between those two flower beds. Yeah. People are. I don't. Here's the. I don't care how many viewers we get. Probably have about 5 viewers. All total. Let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we use, by the way, if anybody, we do use a number of commercial systems, assets to handle some systems in the game, such as the day-night system and the vegetation system, because I'm very sorry, but there are very few products, methods out there of being able to generate foliage than Vegetation Studio Pro. It is an absolutely excellent product. And to code something like that from the ground up would have been, number one, beyond our abilities at the time, and number two, I don't think we would have been able to do it as well as those guys did it. Yeah, it takes a bit of time from moment to moment, as you can see. Yeah, this is so much better than what it used to be. It used to be just this crazy slopey lawn, and I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add another flower bed over here, and we should place something over here of some sort. Wow, number one, it looks like the terrain over there needs a little bit of fixing, but I don't know what. Oh, probably a bunch of boulders, really. Because it's so close to the beach, there would be a lot of boulders peeking through. All right, that's another thing. And look at this. This is why I kind of like doing all this crazy details, because I come back and I discover crap that I did months before that needs to be fixed. Check this out. This staircase here is an artifact. See, um, you have basically two clones of the same staircase there. I thought I fixed that a long time ago. Oh well. What you gonna do? I'll try and fix that maybe next time I have a chance. Let's see. Or I can have it. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Anyway, what kind of weather you got there in Turkey right now? Heavens, tell me about your weather. It's like I said earlier. It's kind of gray here. And what is that light doing all the way over there? That's got to be moved, yo. There we go. Oh, hold on. I gotta save that prefab. Let's see. Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, apply that override so that the light appears in the proper place. And go back to that. And Maine, by the way, is not. Well, it is kind of cold, but the thing is here in Portland we have sort of a maritime, sort of. Let's see, climate. I think in the it gets cold. It gets colder here than it does in the Faroe Islands. In Portland, Maine, sometimes it gets. I mean, I've been watching their weather ever since that's another place that. Well, one day I considered visiting. I mean, I'd really like to visit the Faroe Islands, but here's the thing: is they've been over touristed to the hilt. It's just really gross, and I don't want to be like messing up their country any more than it has been by everybody else, all the influencers going out and getting on top, going onto people's private property so they can do the or whatever it is photograph. It's just, yes, I'm judgmental. Figuring that in a couple of weeks there's going to be something we're going to be looking. I usually look forward to it every year. We actually Maine, and we have a very very small sort of like Burning Man event out by out on one of the islands. I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be in October. I mean, everybody's pretty much assuming that the pandemic is now over. Personally, I don't think it is, but that was they had to cancel that for a couple of years, and I think for the first time in a couple of years they had Burning Man, the actual Burning Man this year. So, Cappadocia, yeah. Here's the thing about Cappadocia. It's another place that's been like touristed to hell and back. It's like any town that has one of those like little cone formations with the houses in it is surrounded by hotels and restaurants and stuff. It just seems to lack a lot of authenticity. Um, Cappadocia is indeed cool. I will say that because here's the thing: is I've done my Google Map tourism over there and I've seen it. The Mediterranean seaside. That is one place I do confess I've not been to the Mediterranean. I've not Google mapped the Mediterranean seaside because there's just so much on the other side. I should take a look at that. I know half of Istanbul is there. Oh, and by the way, I haven't heard. Erdogan was doing weird things with, the lira with your interest rates over there, and there was a heck of a lot of just crazy stuff going on with the economy. I mean, has the economy, settled down over there yet? Because it seemed to me that it just seemed, wow, a lot of crazy stuff. Because everybody was saying, no, Erdogan, what you need to do is you need to, what was it? Raise interest. I forget, but he would do the exact opposite. And then he was like, okay, well, we will, send the government will reimburse you for whatever, inflationary problems this causes. And it just struck me as, wow, that's a wacky way to do things. Let's see. Sorry, I have to bake these guys again. Let's see, bake, clear, bake. Yeah. Yeah. Now I talk about Turkish politics, we lose everybody. I'm willing to watch anything, but if he starts talking about Turkish fiscal policy, I'm out. Big Erdogan fans there. How dare you? Mm. Yeah, you're seeing now. Okay. I don't think I've said anything really gross or embarrassing during this live cast. I might be able to just keep this up. We haven't gotten into talking about, you sit here and you're watching this guy just from Maine talking about like international like politics that he has no part in. I'm just sitting here waiting for the election results to come in Brazil, man. Lula all the way. Uh, oh, I can't have that overlapping because yep, that's the problem. Eh, one of these days, the game will be done. And like I said, I mean, I know I could work on it for the rest of my life, but I know the players, I can really wait till I shuffle off this motor coil. This stuff has got to get done. I still, I don't think, well, no. Getting a public bait out by the end of the year is looking more and more problematic, and it sucks. And all I could do is just really, hmm, instead of just sitting here and complaining about it, I just go back to work because there's always so many billions of little things that need to be done on the game. I mean, that is one attraction about solo development is that there are so many factors to game development that heck, no matter what you do, I mean, if you're sick of one part of it, just work on another part of it for a couple of days. If you're sick of coding, work on the graphics. If you're sick of working on the graphics, work on the sound. If you're sick of all that, blah blah blah, keep on going. Okay, that's done. Actually, to keep symmetry, this, like I said, is supposed to be a park bench. There should be another flower garden over here. Because you want everything to look symmetrical. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Uh, I know so little about politics in Turkey. I know it's I haven't. So I can't speak authoritatively. Yeah, I know what I'm gonna do here. This is gonna be quick and easy, lemon squeezy. Hmm. So, anybody seen any good movies lately? Any of the two of you? I've been wanting to see, jeez. There are a few movies that I wanted. I actually, Nicolas Cage movie Pig, I hear, is pretty good. Unironically, um, you know, one thing that I've come to realize. I mean, Nicolas Cage, as we all know, is the great, actor. That's the meme guy. I mean, everybody just has crazy pictures of him and such. But there's a great video by, I believe, by a guy by the name of Blind Dweller, and he goes into it about how the meme culture. A lot of people were like, well, Nicolas Cage is in all these crappy movies now because he's in trouble with the IRS and he's doing these just to make money. No, the problem is that somebody did a video called Nicolas Cage Loses His Shit, and it was like it was just a compilation of all the scenes that he had done in movies that were just a little bit over the top, and that became so popular that it actually eclipsed Nicolas Cage's actual, like, sizable and respectable body of work. And as a result of that, he couldn't get good roles. He was stuck in those crappy movies because that was all the work that he could get. Because anybody, somebody in Hollywood heard named Nicolas Cage and like, oh yeah, that crazy internet guy that acts like crazy. But no, I mean, really, it's sort of like brutalism. I don't know if you're, I mean, let's go into more esoteric subjects, but it's like, brutalist architecture. My entire life, I hated brutalist architecture, which is like this kind of architecture that's all just like concrete slabs and very heavy and very impersonal. But the thing is at a certain point, once you once you fully understand what brutalist architecture is about, you just love it. And the same sort of thing happens with the acting of Nicolas Cage. Once you understand what Nicolas Cage does, you can't help but respect him as an artist. Because I mean, I'm going to go off on my own thing of why I respect Nicolas Cage as an artist, is because the thing is we as moviegoers, we are unfortunately used to Daniel Day-Lewis's. Daniel Day-Lewis is like the most famous guy these days of the method acting school, which is where an actor, if they're going to play, for example, somebody in the Old West, they will literally dress in like leather chaps. They'll put a cowboy hat on. They'll let their beard grow. They'll crap in an outhouse and only eat food that was made during the 1800s. And after a couple of months like that, these people, these actors, assume that, oh, I will magically become that 18th century person. Now, sometimes it does work. I will admit Daniel Day-Lewis is a pretty decent actor. But here's the thing. Is that really acting, or is it you're just trying to do a shortcut? Nicolas Cage, he acts. He doesn't. If he needs to play a cowboy, he will go in front of the camera and he will give Nicolas Cage's rendition of what a cowboy is and how they act and how they talk. And here's the thing. It may not be 100% accurate, but Nicolas Cage will give 100% of himself to that role, and he will do the best damn job he can in that role. And is my audio still even going through? Yeah, it is. Okay. And in an age where actors, like I said, just do this thing, oh, it's method acting. I went out and I lived in a wood hut with only 3 people and 2 concierges and so on and so forth. And I think that really prepared me for my role. No, Nicolas Cage just like walks out of his trailer and he goes, "Who do you want me to be?" And he does it. And hats off to you, sir, because that's what acting is. And I mean, I'm not an actor, but I dare you to contradict me on that. Nicolas Cage is an actor in a world of like method actor, a true dramatic actor in an age of method acting, and to a lot of people it's off-putting. But I mean, when I mean, for example, what was it, Moonstruck? I think that movie. He does this thing where he's like, he's got his pride. He has his hand. I don't have my pride. I don't have my hand. And everybody uses that image of him, like, of holding his fake hand, as an example of him being crazy. But you don't understand. He is literally reenacting that one shot from Nosferatu. That is so famous. He's literally summoning the inner Nosferatu in that scene. And again, give Cage the respect he deserves. Anyway, let's go. I've been talking about Nicolas Cage for 5 minutes instead of doing this. Boy, Nicolas Cage. And actually, now I'm thinking about it, wouldn't it be right to have another one right over there? Let's rebake this stuff and check it out. Oh yeah, she's like, okay, coming back to the cat topic. Stop talking about Nicolas Cage, Eric. All right. Hey, I'm just filling the air with noise while I'm working. Yeah. Keddy, I have heard of that. Let me see. I think Keddy, Keddy. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. KeddyFilm.com is the story of. Hmm. Well, here's the thing: well, I'm not going to do it, but I know where I can watch this. In fact, I think it's on Netflix. I think I saw this on Netflix. Oh no, it's on Amazon. Ah, there it is. It's on it. We do have Amazon, so anyway. Oh, yeah, I may have to check that out. It doesn't have any like sad stuff in it, does it? Because that's something I just really don't. I mean, I can watch all the human violence and suffering. I can't. I mean, you want to dish out in a film, but the moment there's an animal involved, I'm like, I can't take it. I can't take it. It's just a thing. I can't. But but then again, if it's a documentary, they gotta show the the good with the bad. So, but I have heard of it before, and maybe I should give it a watch this evening or something. The only thing is, this evening, I'm really thinking of unplugging for a while because I've been behind my computer constantly. And I've been going a little bit nuts, and I'm thinking I got a book. I don't know if you watch this YouTuber by the name of well, it's Quinn's Ideas. I don't know his whole full name, but it's his name Quinn. But he was covering a book called The Children of Time. He was giving recaps of that, and I was so impressed with what he was describing that I got it, and I really would like to sit down and just read about 100 pages of that, just one in one sitting, maybe 200, just lose myself, because I have not just sat down and read a book in so long. Um, I really want to. The last book that I read, Laura gave me a copy, gave me The Queen's Gambit, the book that the TV series, that Netflix series was based on. I mean, I like Walter Tevis. He is one of those authors. In The Man Who Fell to Earth, I'm not the movie. I really didn't like that David Bowie movie they made of the novel, but I found that to be an incredibly touching story that I really identified with. I mean, there's a certain point where I mean, basically, there's only one person in the entire world who sussed this guy out, the alien, and and they're finally having a conversation with each other. He says, there's not been a single moment that I've been on this planet that I've not been afraid, and that resonated with me at that time when I was reading the book because, jeez, I mean, like I was talking earlier. I mean, I will not. I mean, I'll be open with you. I do have my own mental, issues. And for a very long time, I was unmedicated for some conditions, and the world was a very scary, frightening, unpredictable place for me for many years. And I don't know. Walter Tevis was able to capture that. I mean, he also wrote a book called Mockingbird. That's very very good about. Jeez, It's very hard to explain. Yeah, Tennis had some really great ideas. He also wrote the Color of Money. Just about all of his books were made into to movies. The Tom Cruise movie, Show Me the Money. That was him. And what I'm thinking here, by the way, is now actually making it so that there's another maybe path that curves around to the backyard and make a patio back there, a little patio. That would be kind of pretty cool, I think. I think that's what's going to happen there. And for that to happen, it just needs to go and break in at the edge. That'd be a tangent. Oh, goodness. Landscaping. Landscaping. Kind of a Kit Kat, full of animal loving person Kit Kats. Okay, yeah. By the way, at one point, Netflix got in touch with us, and they did a series about cat people because their series about dog people was very, very popular. Now, here's the thing. They approached us, and they have since done the documentary, and our negotiations with them sort of broke down because here's the thing. They wanted us to go around to furry conventions and demo our game at furry conventions. Now, out of all the things they could have us do, why did they want us to go to furry conventions? Because I guess they thought, number one, furries are the eternal butt of jokes, and I'm guilty of making fun of them to a great extent. But here's the thing: during the time of Donald Trump, I came to peace with furries and everything because, if anybody's been wondering about my attitude toward furries, oh yes, everybody has, is that I'm totally cool with any kind of fandom these days, whatever the hell you're doing, as long as you're not, marching through the streets of Charlottesville screaming, Jews will not replace us. I'm cool with that. That's where I am on furries. Fine. If you could do whatever the hell you want, as long as you're not a Nazi, I'm totally cool with that. And to a certain extent, I'll be straight up with you. I'm a civil libertarian. I'm totally cool with you being a Nazi. If that's your jam, go ahead and be a Nazi. But on the other hand, I have an absolute right to to point out how stupid you are. So, in heavens. But anyway, Netflix, going back to this, the reason that they wanted us to go there is because they weren't interested in filming the game. They weren't interested in filming anything about cats. They wanted to do a documentary making fun of furries at a furry convention. And they wanted to use our game as a vehicle for doing that. And I found that to be unacceptable. If you want to make a documentary making fun of furries, Netflix, make a documentary making fun of furries. Don't make our game part of that, okay? Just don't. Don't use us as a cover. And honest goodness, if you want to make fun of somebody, make a documentary making fun of neo-Nazis. Make a documentary about making fun of January 6th, rioters. Make a documentary about those people. Heck, what did furry people ever do to you other than, she's probably subscribing? I understand there are a few series or a couple of shows on that network that are pretty dang popular furry audiences, and I just really don't know why Netflix would be like, oh yeah, let's make fun of our audience. That's where I'm at right now. I'm doing. And yes, I did. Oh, I didn't bake the stuff, and that's why it's taking forever. And by the way, I don't expect you to hang around for listening to me rambling. I won't be insulted at any time because I know this is not the most exciting show in the world, and you're just listening to me ramble. But and by the way, a lot of Russians suddenly showing up in Turkey, in your area of Turkey, because it does seem that that's a very popular destination among draft. The people who are trying to avoid conscription over in Ukraine. I guess it's because Putin and Erdogan get along really well. I guess that's just a convenient place for a lot of people to go. And don't you guys have a good border with them? I forget I know the Soviet Union bordered on Turkey, but I forget whether Russia bordered on Turkey. Um, and you're listening to me, by the way, mispronouncing the name of your country over. Oh, Georgia. You guys have a border with Georgia, and I understand Russians, and they can get into there with a tourist visa with no problem. So they just were immediately going through Georgia into Turkey. So, and yeah, they would have not. I doubt they'd make it all the way over to where you're living. You said you're living all the way over here, so. Not I'm doxing you. Hopefully I'm not. I mean, heaven knows. Yes, one of the fans of our games lives somewhere in this general area here. Yeah. this area the size of, Macedonia. Uh, anyway. Oh, goodness. Oh, yeah. I was doing this. Oh, yeah, I was doing this. See, if I don't fill the air with the constant noise, we notice that there's no music playing. I should play some music in the background still. I'll go back to that playlist I was going before. It was not too obnoxious. Let's see. And after that, I think by then I'm going to be done with this landscaping. And I might just run it within the editor to see. Yeah. And you don't know, I mean, I do not know how many of these points I've had to set over the course of the last 4 years. I mean, if I had them all selected, it's stunning the amount of fine-tuning that went into this. Let me see if I can grab them all here. And they all show, yeah. All these billions of points. See, it slows down my computer, my very, very good computer. It slows it down to have to display. And I'm just thinking, maybe if we zoom out, we can see just the masks. But, jeez, do I want to go into what's going on in Russia? Heck, I could talk about that. That's something that I'm following very closely because, I mean, she's, this, I mean, here's the thing, is that number one, we have fans in Russia, we have patrons in Russia that were unceremoniously kicked off of Patreon, by the way. And I actually, so just get me to turn this down volume-wise, because I don't have to hear it on this. We have fans over there in Russia. They were kicked off of Patreon because, they said we're not going to do business with because of sanctions, etc., etc. And we have good relations with them. And actually, I put every one of them on a secret, no, not secret, but a personal mailing list, so that I made sure that they got updates. They continue to get updates and continue to get links to alpha releases. Because here's the thing. Every day the Russian people are being told, the people in the West, they hate you, they hate you, they hate you. And the thing is nothing reinforces, I mean, it reinforces that than taking their games away. And I can't be part of that. And I mean, I don't think that anybody these people contributed. I mean, I don't want anybody to die in a war. And I'm just trying to get that out there because I just want to say that again. I mean, as an addendum to all of that, this invasion of the Ukraine is going to be going down in history as one of the greatest blunders military blunders in human history. It's unbelievable how bad Putin is handling this. I mean, I could have handled this better, and I've never picked up a rifle in my entire life, ever won a strategy game at anything other than the easiest setting. I've never seen anything just screwed up on such a monumental, titanic scale as I've seen Putin's invasion of Ukraine. It's just unbelievable. And do you think, I mean, he's bringing tens of thousands of people from Tuva, and it takes them an entire 2 weeks to get from Tuva all the way over there. They're sending them in with no training, and and all they're giving their families is a sheep. Hey, here's your reward for your son. Have a sheep. And I mean, and you see the films of them going to the prisons and saying, hey, if you're willing to go and pick up a gun, we'll put you on the front lines, and you might be able to get out of prison and might be able to survive. But I can get you out of here alive, but I can't guarantee I can bring you back alive. And if you get there and you don't feel like you can handle what you signed up for, you're going to get shot. Because as a deserter, and it's like, honest to goodness, when he gave that same like Stalinist order, not 1 inch back, is he going to start putting in those battalions that shoot, where they start shooting their own troops if they retreat? Because that's the next. I mean, if he may already be doing that. For all I know, I don't know. It's probably one of the reasons why people are getting the hell out of the country, and it sucks. And it's like, jeez. I don't know. I mean, I like the Russian people. I've known Russian people personally, and never had a problem with any one of them. Even, I mean, during the days of the Soviet Union, I don't know. I had hopes that maybe they would be able to get everything together and maybe, present an alternative way of life on this planet other than just a rampant, unrestrained capitalism, where they think turning live things into dead things is money. Maybe, but here's the thing: is that unfortunately they weren't doing a very good job at establishing that, and we're finding out now. I mean, they did some good things very well, but it was all propaganda, pretty much, what we're receiving on this side of things. But I mean, they did have some stuff in the old Soviet Union that I think would be good if we had. Let's see here. And at least, while the Soviet Union was there, I mean, even if everything they were telling us was just propaganda and such, at least some of us believed it, and we were like, well, if the Soviets are doing that, we might as well get on the ball and start acting, a little bit better, and so on, and try. And I mean, we would have probably never even gone to the moon had it not been for the Russians, setting Sputnik up. That's our problem here in the United States. We have this constant sense of inadequacy. We always have to, hey, how dare you do that? Doing stuff is our thing. Which is almost like, invading another country halfway around the world. But here's the thing, is I am not a hypocrite in my opposition to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, because I was among the minority of Americans who 100% disagreed with both invasions of Iraq. I think that George W. Bush should be held for war crimes, crimes against humanity, quite frankly. Because, honest to goodness, stuff that he did, and goodness. I mean, yes, Saddam Hussein was a bad guy, but if we're going to be in the business of getting rid of every goddamn bad dictator in the world, we're going to be invading half the planet, and that ain't what I'm citing for as an American citizen. I mean, Martin Luther King himself said, the United States is acting like some sort of policeman of the whole world, and we can't do that. We just can't. That's why, I mean, when you say stuff like that, you get shot in a hotel balcony in Atlanta. And one of the things that so I mean, while we're waiting for that to bake, is Pyramidon. It was just a crazy thing. It's just an example. Pyramidon. I think it's going to take me there. Yeah, Pyramidon. I mean, when the Soviet Union decided to set up their like little base up here in like Spitsbergen, um, yeah, they literally brought in tankers of soil so that their citizens would be able to, good Soviet citizens would be able to walk on grass, and it still survives to this day because I mean the soil up here, you know, and as you can see the background, that's what the rest of that area looks like. But they were like, we're going to build a city up here. We're going to have all the amenities, and it's just really cool. And to think that somebody was there, we're going to get. I mean, it's a quality of life thing. We're going to give people grass. Yes, it doesn't get above 50 there ever, and the kids. I mean, but at least the kids will, you know, during the few times that it is sunny and somewhat less horribly frigid, they can go out and play in the grass. And I mean, that's I think a cool little idea. Anyway, okay, so that's baked. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the main scene. Our main menu. Yeah, we have to play it from the main menu because of the way it's set up. But we're going to save. Oh, hi, Wayne. Yeah, Wayne, here's the thing. Well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. I thought we had fixed most of the errors that you mentioned. And it has been an existential crisis to me getting the bug reports. Not your bug report. I mean, yours were so, I mean, for example, finding out that we still had crappy textures on down, you know, by the Laflamme Fishworks. I fixed that. And like I said earlier, for years we had this problem where I would fix things and do work, and months later it would just be erased. And no, it would just constantly be erased. Probably I'd say, if I was being very conservative, about 6 months of my own work has been just erased by whoever the hell it was that kept going into our server and just deleting my work months after it had been submitted. And anyway, let's run this. Actually, I'm going to go to use a restroom for a couple minutes. For about 60 seconds, I'll be right back. I'm going to just turn down my audio. I'm sorry, I wanted to, because running this takes a very long time. I'll be right back. Turn my audio back up. I want to run this cat over to that new flower bed, just check it out and see what it looks like. And unfortunately, the way this is set up, we have to run through the entire sequence from beginning to end. So, if nothing else, you're going to be able to see the entire. I mean, well, the thing is, it's running at ultra low quality inside of the editor, so you're not going to be able to see much in the way of really good graphics. Well, here's the thing, Wayne, about the graphic textures varying. I mean, yes, they will vary, but I mean those in particular, I fix those, and it's just another example of like my work being deleted by somebody who is just too careless to know what the hell they were uploading. I just. Mm. Oh no! Am I running the? Oh no, this is the proper scene. Okay, good, good, good. Well, Wayne, I don't know. You didn't miss much. I was just basically setting up flower beds here, and I spent about 45 minutes talking about how Nicolas Cage is a better actor than Daniel Day-Lewis, and oh my goodness, oh goodness, good. For a moment there, I thought we had this now. Okay, and I'm going to actually just fast forward through the animatic because the animatic runs very jagged within this, and I don't know. Oh yeah, we talked about Turkish, the fiscal policy of Turkey toward lira valuation and interest rates. That was the most gripping point of the whole broadcast so far. Fiscal conversation about fiscal policy in Turkey. Let's talk about fiscal policy in Turkey. Mm. Oh, by the way, while that's loading, let me see. Anybody else like addicted to these AI like art things? I mean, it's my favorite game. I always have this running in the background because I'm always wanting to see what the heck I can make it do. Jeez, this guy's been down here for 2 days, getting like military tiger pictures. You can see, and it's like, and to think, I mean, I do not even know how they were able to get it to do stuff like this. I mean, how you could just like type in around and it will go, yeah, that's what that looks like, and it does it perfectly. I just don't get it. It's amazing. Oh boy. Press enter. Okay, now, all right, right, and let's see here. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the oh, and also we used to have this ability to zoom in with the middle mouse button. For some reason, that's been taken away, and that's annoying. Um, yeah, that's up there on the TV is the only bit of like a plot that we have, and we still need to get IK on those tails. Yeah, and we need to apply. I mean, all these places out in the external world that cats can climb. Somebody needs to go through there and just apply all those surfaces, and it's just so much. Oh yeah, you could eat if you want to. It should be faster though. Eating should be much faster than that. It should be enough. I mean, I didn't like that Red Dead Redemption thing where it's like, oh, you gotta cook your meal, and then you gotta stick it, and then you gotta carve a fork, and then you gotta, oh goodness. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is actually an awesome game. That was one of the few games I thought was. I mean, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. And I am not a fan of Western movies. I really don't like Westerns, but I really enjoyed Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. And the ability to zoom in is very important. This was another thing that just led to an existential crisis. I mean, I'll tell you this. This is how upset I was. I literally went into my bedroom and I think I slept for 18 hours straight. I just could not pull myself out of bed after seeing how many things that I thought had been addressed were no longer addressed. And finding it out was just existentially just. It's just another reminder of how far behind we are. I don't know. All I can say is that I did my best. Okay, now we're outside again. Okay, let's get this guy going. He needs to go all the way over to, or she actually, that's Lizzie. We need to get her all the way over to... Now, another thing that we used to have is that when the cats... Yeah, there are issues when the collider goes up against something at chest height. But before, if you went up against something at chest height and you jumped, you would just jump straight up in the air and come straight down. Now you actually, if you do like come up against something and you can't go forward anymore, if you jump, you will go forward a little bit, and your motion will continue. I'd like to say that we got more stuff wrong than right. Oh God, we got more stuff right than wrong. Okay, I can't even get that out. And we're losing everybody. Everybody's tuned out now that we're showing the game. We got more right than wrong. And heavens. It's crazy how big this game world is. Oh goodness, don't tell me we have loading issues. No. Come on, kitty. Like I said, it's laggy. Ah, there we go. You see, it didn't have time to load that exterior. We're almost there. There's the house in the far distance. All the way up there. And let's see. Well, it's kind of hard to see them because there's not that part of the island is in shadow right now, but let's go down. Let's see. Yeah. There are a few of these. Let's see. Let's go out here. Yeah. Yeah, that's... Except, I need to come up with a couple more biomes for flowers, because this is just too chaotic. Usually people on an island, they have much more ordered stuff going on. Maybe that's, the next pass, but at least I got the flower gardens in, and it looks a heck of a lot better than just like that weird grass slope that was there before. Let's see here. Hold on. Oh yeah, you see. Yeah, the motion on the bushes and such that needs to be smoothed out, but at least we got some motion. Yeah. Hold on. I think I have the different biome here than I thought, because there shouldn't be trees at all here. I'll have to look at that later. Yeah, there might be room for a path back here. Might. Yeah, back here would be the patio area. That makes sense, really. Except, check this out. Hold on. Oh, I see. You see some of those rocks, some of the bricks are gone. I placed all those, in fact, all of them are gone, because I did not add those to the baker. Those little bricks that I use is like border for those would need to be added to the mesh bakers before they show up inside the main world. But at least I confirmed that that's working. I think that's much more nice, except now that I think about it, if this is like, this guy's like, oh, this is a nice place, I'm going to go out and sit and read on my nice bench and look at my flowers. Would he really want his neighbors to be able to looking over his shoulder and reading the same book at the same time? You got to think about that. I think I'm going to have to rethink. Maybe get rid of that entirely. Just, yeah, I think that's the ticket. Just get rid of that entirely. Just put a fountain at the end there. Yeah, and I think we still have rocks that have collider problems, do we? Or do we solve all that problem? I think it's sometimes also when you play it within the editor, it's a frame rate issue, and it doesn't compute for that fraction of a second when the cat approaches the rock, and as a result it passes right there. See, it's sort of like no clipping into the back rooms in a way. Yeah. Because really, I want to add a hell of a lot more variation to the downtown, because one of the things that I'm trying, I need to work on really more is capturing how out on the islands, you can. It changes so often. I mean, you could be in the middle of a suburb and you walk 2 minutes in one direction, and then you're in the middle of a forest, and then you walk another 2 minutes, and then you're at a horse ranch, and then you walk another 2 minutes, and you're like in near old World War II. I mean, there's just so much variation and just mood and what you find from just place to place, and that's what this fine tuning, landscaping is all about. Oh yeah, by the way, behind the scenes, this is the menu screen. It's just stuff floating in midair because the camera. Let me see, where's the camera? Yeah. That stuff is just married to the camera whenever there's big billboards there. I swear to goodness, 15% of my day is just sitting there waiting for that loader to finish. Yeah. Oh. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to do a little bit of work. Yeah, the camera, you see, is pointing right at her because she isn't in the resting pose right now. She's sort of like in the cat T pose in a way. Ooh, and she has zombie eyes too. I never noticed that. What's wrong there, Lizzie? Boy. But yeah, because it's a menu scene, we only have this one, a couple of chunks, a couple of sectors. We only have to show what, is necessary for that intro scene. And, I think in the end, you were talking, Wayne, or maybe somebody else mentioned it. The beach is back here. I think I'm going to have to throw away. One of the things that Veg Studio cannot do, are the rocky coasts of Maine. This isn't a good example, but I'm just going to bring this up here. Let's see. Rocky Coast of Maine. We can just show you. If people have never been to Maine, I'm just going to show you. We don't have many sand beaches in the state of Maine. Our beaches typically look. That's not a good example. That's that. Here, I'm going to actually open the image in a new tab. This is what we would consider to be a sand beach in the state of Maine, because our beaches usually look like. I'm going to open image in a new tab. Yeah, our beaches typically look like this. They are just very rocky, and here's the thing: is I'm able to capture a bit of the rockiness using Veg Studio, but the problem is that it doesn't do very good as far as collision detection. So there's a heck of a lot of superfluous rocks up here, so the computer is having to render a heck of a lot of rocks that aren't necessary. And number two, if you look carefully at those rocks, there's a rhyme and a reason to how these rocks are formed. I mean, you can go out there, you can say, oh yeah, this was a lava flow. You can see the cracks and quartz across, a lateral or diagonal areas and perpendicular angles to the flow. And over here, it's just rocks. There are places that are just chaotic tumbles of rocks. I'd say, there are places out by two lighthouses, Cape Elizabeth, south of here, that are like that. But also, there is a rhyme and reason to how geology works. And I think in the end, I may have to just literally hand place every rock on the coasts again. I initially did that at the beginning. And heck, it would only take me a couple of weeks. And that's kind of pedantic work I'm good at. Anyway. Let me see. I'm going to see what you had to say. Lower priority. The running jump animation is awkward, stopping in place in the middle of it. Yes, I know. But here's the thing, is for 7 months the cat couldn't even jump at all. If you want to know why, get in touch with a guy by the name of Brett Dunham. He can explain to you why. Let's see. Oxford Collider's issues, yeah. Yeah, here's the thing. If you don't give me the coordinates, because it isn't a matter of coordinate. It's a matter of what kind of rock it is. and I could take a look at the rock and get a general sense of it. I mean, I could have sworn I fixed those, and I would not be surprised if right before this thing was made, my work was again deleted. Who knows? Because every time I start this game, I see things where I'm like, did I fix that? Months ago. Richard confirmed it. What the hell? Oh, look at this. This is weird. This vegetation is supposed to be spawned randomly, and look, it's in rows, like it's been cultivated. What the heck? That is very odd. I think something might be wrong with that biome, is what it is. But here's the thing. All that matters is if it looks good in this shot. And let's just run it, and you can see it looks okay. Just wondering how that happened. Welcome to Peace Island. How'd that happen? Oops, excuse me, as I spit food out. And also, let's see the rest. Yeah, I was thinking anything about Wayne, your statement about positioning the rocks, etc., etc. You know, here's the thing. Sometimes there is no substitute for just a lot of hard work. And Wayne, I mean, you've been following this long enough. You probably know. I spent the first 9 months of the developing Peace Island literally hand placing every rock, every tree, every bush. The first year it was all done by hand. I never shied away from that because at a certain point, I mean, before I was able to afford the random spawner here, I said, well, Eric, what do you? I mean, are you going to complain? Oh, this is too much work. I was like, goodness gracious, Eric, you know that when the moment you commit to this, creating this Peace Island game, you're going to be here, you're going to be working on this. If you're serious for 5 years and you're balking at like placing a few thousand objects, what's wrong with you? And that was a moment where I was like, okay, I guess I got time to get serious. And I still remember that moment. Let me go over to that. It's just something I like. Let me see, seeds, workbench. There's this one spot on the island, and it is where Peace Island really began. Because essentially, because of the tree, I started working on Peace Island on a budget of $0. I literally just grabbed whatever. I mean, I needed trees, and I didn't feel like modeling trees by hand, but I went to the asset store. And I noticed, oh, there are a heck of a lot of like just free tree packages. They aren't all that great, but you know what? They look fine for my purposes. And boy, placing those. Yeah, Veg Studio 11. Don't save. I don't save. But yeah, at that point. Oh yeah, I was talking about these trees. Sorry about that. I lost my train. But these trees, a Unity does have just a generic thing that it takes. Okay, you want an array of these objects on this terrain. Blah, poop. It could do that, but unfortunately there was something weird in the coding or the way that these trees were put together, that they appeared about 150 units above the terrain, and always at an angle greater than what I had specified. So I spawned all the trees, and I literally started just placing them one by one. And in the early days, it was like, yeah, I got 100 trees placed today. And if I had a whole day off from Ananias, I would just work, and I'd get 500 trees placed that day. And I mean, people were asking me, why don't you use a procedural spawner? And the answer was, I couldn't afford one, and I figured this was the best way to do it. When we did get funding, I mean, one of the first things I did was buy Vegetation Studio Pro, and it was kind of humbling seeing Vegetation Studio Pro do a better job in 10 seconds than I had done in 9 months. But hey, you got to be humble. It keeps you humble. Let's see. Yeah. Unfortunately, just those two. Those were, just those. Yeah. That was another thing that I wanted to add this month, but um, geez, how do I explain this? This past month, we had to let one of the people go who worked for the project because we simply couldn't afford to keep him on staff anymore. We needed to use the last weeks that he was with us to get that taken care of. Basically, he's the guy who takes care of all the architectural colliders and object colliders within the game. Not the rock colliders, but most of those. So like the house colliders, the staircase colliders, and all that. I know the staircases are screwy. And again, I have to apologize. Not my taste in music. I just have it in the background because somebody said, Eric, when you do these things, you need to have music in the background. Yeah, we're sitting here looking at the loading screen. That's what I do. 9 hours a day. Okay, let's say we go through this. Oh no, it just started. We're gonna say imagine. Let's just have this thing go. Imagine a morbidly obese Nicolas Cage. Yeah. Photorealistic test P. I always want to go with a test. Oh, what? Oh, yeah, I gotta type. I'm sorry. Give me my morbidly obese. Anyway. There we go. Yeah, we gotta get rid of the 2 dashes. And I think in the future, that's what illustrators, not artists so much, but illustrators are going to be doing. They're just going to be sitting here learning the exact words, how to describe what you wanted to the AI that creates it. Because, I say this as an illustrator myself. I tried working as an illustrator for, a lot of years. And I'm very sorry that I as a human illustrator, it's kind of humbling to see this, but I feel like Phil Tippett, I think his name was, the guy who did so much claymation and stop motion animation, when he saw what Spielberg was doing with CGI for Jurassic Park. He said, stop motion animators were the dinosaurs now, and Spielberg thought that was just hilarious that thousands of people's livelihoods into this wonderful art form had just basically been rendered obsolete. And I get that feeling now when I look at how these AI routines could just produce artwork that's just astounding. And they could do it at full-size resolution. They can produce illustrations faster than anybody I've ever seen, and it could do it in any style. And yes, it's not art. I will totally grant that. I don't ever call it AI art. I just call it this AI crazy thing, and it's really crazy to see it learn. That is the weirdest thing, because I've been using this for the last couple of months to generate background artwork and such for Peace Island, and I've seen it learn. For example, about 2 months ago, it did not know how to draw a raptor dinosaur. Now it can. It has no problem with it whatsoever. Just in the last month, it was able to figure out what a raptor dinosaur looks like. And when it does stuff like when it thinks on its own, for example, once I asked it to show me what a fight between 2 cybernetic toilets would be, and it showed the toilet, robotic toilets, and they were shooting water at each other, and that was brilliant on part of the AI. It literally thought to itself, okay, if toilets were fighting, what kind of distance weapon would it use? And it literally came up with they would shoot water at each other, because that's what they have. When you see the AI creating stuff like that and doing that deep kind of thinking, it's like, what's straight up creativity and drawing conclusions that you did not explicitly spell out. Wow, it blows your mind. And like I said, I have this running in the background all the time. Just because I know it's just fascinating to go, geez, what would happen if I type this into there? And you always see. I mean, look at this. Going back to the Nicolas Cage, looky there. I mean, we got two Zoftig Nicolas Cages. Photographic quality. But anyway, going back to what I was talking about earlier, about the spawning. This is right up here. Let me go up here. Is the very spot where, on like the third day of development of Peace Island, I realized I was looking up at those thousands of trees up here that had been spawned by that spawner. And I was realizing every one of those things has to be moved and rotated by hand. That happened at this exact spot. This was the very first tree I ever placed was right over here. And that is where the journey of 5 years truly began. And jeez, do I regret? Well. Regret, it's a wasted emotion. And this should be a different color, shouldn't it? I thought that's supposed to be a different color. Well. Yeah. And since then, I mean, the town used to look different. We used to have a different kind of church. And at a certain point, the city actually ended right here. Basically, the city ended at the edge of the police station here. But then I realized the downtown, it didn't look organic. Because usually, you know, at the outskirts of towns, you don't have it just end with large buildings. You have it end with smaller buildings that just eventually peter out. And also, there are 38 people who live on this island, and we had to have houses for every one of them. We couldn't have them all living in those apartment buildings downtown. So we had to, you know, let me see, place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additional houses. The only thing that we added new was this, and I really wanted to, I mean, as far as like features, and I really wanted to add some tennis balls that the cats could pick up, you know, in their mouths, even though cats really can't do that, and bat around. But that was another thing. I was like, dang it, just don't have the time. Gotta get this out. And now look at this. I think I'm seeing the linear spawning of those things that we saw in the other one. I'm gonna have to take a look at those biomes. Somehow it got all screwy. Or maybe I'm seeing... This is like a variation of Periodelia where I'm seeing lines that don't really exist. But look at that. Green line there. Green line there. There's definitely something going on. Because really those that should all be spawning in random locations. And the reason I never noticed that before is because when you have the trees... Let's see... You have so much stuff in there. It's like, heck, I mean, you can't see the trees for the forest around it, so I never really noticed it. I think for some reason the random integer was the random setting was turned off on those. And let's see. And actually, one of the things we got to completely redesign, I mean, not to get ahead of ourselves, is this guy up here. This hotel needs to be completely torn down and redesigned. I don't, or did Peter Bourgeois redo this already? He may have redone that. Sorry, Peter, if you ever watch this, but really, because here's the thing. This is supposed to be a old tourist hotel from, you know, about let's see, you know, from the 1890s until the 1930s and thereabouts. And the way, my picture of two Zoftig Nicolas Cages is done. Scroll down. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he looks almost like he's in Face Off there, or he's playing John Gotti or something like that. But anyway, this hotel is based on the hotel out on Star Island, which is, let's see, Star Island NH. Yeah, let's go images. This is another really fascinating little island. In fact, maybe it would be best to go like onto Google Maps. Yeah, I think that's it. And because Star Island, New Hampshire. Yeah. Okay. Google. And where can I see the maps? Come on, maps. There we are. Yeah, this is kind of fascinating crap. But this is an island that I had the good fortune to visit last year with a friend of mine. It's very small. It's actually smaller than Peace Island by any stretch of imagination. I understand. Again, tennis court. Because I mean, here's their tennis court. Their tennis court takes up a heck of a lot more like real estate than Peace Island's tennis court. And believe it or not, this island that's literally just I think 16 acres or something like that. It literally had a town, a little town of just old stone houses there for hundreds of years, for a couple hundred years, and the hotel here apparently it was made up when I mean eventually there were rich landowners who built huge houses out there, and at a certain point they joined them together into a hotel, and that's what this is supposed to look like. It's supposed to look like this in a smaller mansion over to here with a new addition in the middle that sort of joins them. And I swear to goodness, this hotel is what Steve. If you've ever seen The Shining, this hotel is what he based that story on. He may have said it in Estes Park or something, but they have they have a staff of caretakers who takes place for this gigantic. This is one of the biggest Victorian era hotels I've ever seen, and it's out on this tiny island. And for honest to God, I'd say 4 months of the year, 3 to 4 months of the year, you're going to be snowed in, and it's just going to be nothing but ice out there. And you're not going to want to go outside, and your only concern is just making sure that the generator is going so that you don't freeze to death and nothing catches on fire. And let me tell you, if I was stuck out there for all those months, I think I'd go a little bit crazy myself. I think people call me crazy now. Imagine if I was a caretaker of Star Island. And by the way, this thing is like 8 miles out from the shore. I mean, the shore is just a tiny strip on the horizon at that point. And this is part of Maine up here. And if you ever go, I've been on this little jetty here, this breakwater, and there's a sign here that you can barely see it. You can't zoom in, and that sign says turn around to state of Maine, can't go back, private property or whatever, apparently. But let me tell you, if you're ever out in New Hampshire, you have an opportunity to go visit Star Island. I highly recommend it. It's just a fun place to walk around, and there's some really great history way out here because there were houses and structures out here that were abandoned 100 years ago, and so on and so forth. But you can find old grave markers and such. And one of the things is they have this graveyard here that has the best preserved graves that I've seen in any graveyard in the Northeast. Because of the nature of the weather up here, gravestones tend to, because of the water and the heat and the cold, they shrink and they contract, and they're very prone to just breaking apart and vandalism. And I don't think there was a single gravestone here. I mean, some of them were hundreds of years old that had been vandalized. They were all in perfect, pristine condition. But yeah, it's just I mean, you could walk around the entire island in 10 minutes, but there's just so much. It packs a heck of a lot of stuff. They got this little church up on, I think, yeah, at the very highest point of the island, they have this church, and it's the original church, and I mean, it's the way that they had to build it to find a place to construct it, because as you can see, about 60% of this rock, well, no, I'd say about 20% of this area of the island is just like rock. There's no arable land or anything. And back in the day, before this hotel was built, this was all farmland. This was, they had a few, maybe about 3-4 acres of land where they could actually grow crops, and the rest of it is just rock. And when you get on to this point, by the way, you just about this point, because after this point, this is the kingdom of the seagulls. You just get the picture. Yeah, this is their area. You want to get out of there because they just don't take humans out that way. They make it very apparent that this is our property. But anyway, I think I'm done. I've rambled on about Nicolas Cage and Peace Island and all that for a while, and I've had just a really stressful couple of weeks, and maybe I just needed to sit here and talk for a while. And this is one of the few live casts where nothing just went horribly wrong, which is kind of cool. I think I'm going to keep this up, uh, which is rare. I mean, the last couple of times we tried to do a live cast or anything, I had to immediately delete it because everything went wrong, and it was just so embarrassing. I ended just crying. That's one thing. Thank goodness we're at that. I mean, I will say this. I'm very glad that we've gotten to this culture where we're starting to reject this toxic masculinity, and it's okay for men to weep and cry. Because let me tell you, over the last week, I have done probably more crying than I have since my father passed away. I don't think I've cried and felt as just down and bad as since my father passed away. And I don't know. I maybe just need to come on here and vent and talk for a while. And mostly it was about Nicolas Cage and Turkish lira policy, but it helped me just to be able to do that. So if anybody did watch all the way through and listen to me talk, I really appreciate it. And I don't blame you if you did tune out, because there's very little here that was of any interest. So anyway, yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to do today. Is I wanted to add the. I'm just going to go back to where we did our work today. And so I showed you. I mean, that's how long it takes to do a little bit. You know, I think that took me about an hour to trace out that little flower bed. And I could go back and change the flowers just by, going to that mask and saying, I want this biome in there instead of the other. But that is so much better than just a yard. That is just so much better. That looks that is an island, house. Because I don't know. I don't think anybody who's still tuned in, and I think as ever. Wayne, I know out in the Seattle, out on the West Coast, you have the islands out there, and what was it? It was God, Puget Sound, yeah, all those islands out there. But Maine, because I think one of the, aside from a certain kind of people, and generally elderly people like gardening, and that's not a rule. I mean, there are a hell of a lot of young people that like gardening, but also Peaks Island has a very, very long tradition of being a place where tourists go, and we adopted that for Peace Island as well. And really, people out there, they do make a habit of, they want people when they walk by their house to go, oh my goodness, that is very nice. And they take a great deal of pride in their houses and their community and every square inch of land that they have. Sometimes, on the western side of the island, it can get so crowded that some people only may have like a couple of square feet of land between them and the road, but they lovingly tend it, as if it was a huge flower garden. And sometimes they do turn into huge flower gardens. Anyway, I'm just going around here seeing if there's anything. Yeah, this is another thing that's missing. There should be a little backyard patio sort of thing behind the hotel, and for some reason that little log there, that sidewalk element there is off of where it should be, and it looks like a few paving stones may be gone. I understand that for some reason all the colliders on these are gone. I don't know why. It infuriates me. And, jeez. Now, this is one thing, is eventually you will be able to put, essentially, in this game, you're going to be able to create clouders of cats, and a maximum in a clouder is 4. Now, if you don't feel like walking, if you got a full clouder of 4 cats, you can take them to one of these guys here, and you will be able to pilot. You'll be able to drive around the island a little bit quicker with 4 cats at once. That happens in the second act of the game because, well, for the first act, we want the players to be running all over the island and just taking note of stuff because there's so many details that still have to be added. The USGS survey markers have to be added. The climbing, areas. Ivy has to be added. So much ivy. So much work has to be done. Anyway, But anyway, thanks guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. And, oh, another question. Okay, I actually intended so that you should not even be able to get into the northern side of the island in this alpha. Okay, if this is not made clear, oh, your goal in Peace Island is to eventually, and I'm not going to give out, I mean, who you're taking there and how you get there and everything. Your eventual goal is to get to the lighthouse out here. Not going to tell you why. And here's the thing: the only way you get to the lighthouse is by leaving from the old Greenwood, Greenwood landing up here, the dock up here. At that point, you will take the boat over there. And what we did not want is actually this entire area up here is not supposed to be unlocked until the third act of the game. I will not tell you how it's unlocked, but essentially, yes, you know how Grand Theft Auto, if you've ever played those games, and I'm constantly being told, don't compare the game to Grand Theft Auto. Of course, I mean, it's no one like Grand Theft Auto, but there are parts of the island that you are not supposed to get to immediately, and this whole Greenwood Farms area is supposed to be off limits to you until the third act of the game. Um, and yeah, you can get around it. You can walk all the way up here and all the way around here, all the way around the fences, but you shouldn't be able to get inside at all. Um, but hey, it sounds like you found that little spot. Let me see. Actually, let's see gizmos. Um, let's see. What did I call it? Because I turned off the renderer. It was the northern wall. Back wall. I think that's it. Is that it? No, I don't think it is. I think it's that. Beach wall. Uh, that might be it. I'm not sure. Because anyway, there is a to answer your question, there is a bunch of collision boxes all along that fence, and it sounds like that one time you found a spot that I missed, and I actually went through this last time, and I adjusted the terrain around that chain link fence to make sure that there weren't any areas that were big enough for a cat to get underneath, and so yeah, that's an answer to your question. And yeah, but let's see. Yeah, first act you're all on foot. Second act you edit. The first act ends right there by the bus in the woods, the little bus home in the woods. Second act you can ride around. In the third act, basically you're going to still be going all over the island, but that's when you unlock the farm up all the way up north, and the hotel is pretty sizable too. You're going to be wandering around in there. But anyway, I should go because I got stuff I got to take care of now. And anyway, thanks for everybody for tuning in, and hopefully I did. Well, I know I was incredibly boring throughout this entire thing, but it is what it is. Take care, everybody. Bye.